1 second. All right. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us again. My name is Simran and I'm with Canopy. Canopy is a co-working space that's based in San Francisco. I'll put our website in the chat box so you can come check us out and book a tour if you have to be in the Bay Area. Today's discussion is with Marisa Sullivan, and she's going to be talking about how pleasure is medicine and giving us 3 G-rated tools to tune into our pleasure. I'm super excited about this, Marisa, so go ahead, all you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Simran. Thank you for inviting me, Lindsay and Simran. And thank you, courageous folks, for coming. If you're here live, you're super courageous. And if you're coming after, you're still courageous. So yeah, pleasure is medicine. We know that, right? So I'm a sex educator and an intimacy coach. And I'm also a teacher about caring for and loving our bodies. And really that our bodies have medicine. Our bodies have medicine inside of them, especially when we listen and we take care of them. So first, pleasure. If you're having pleasure, you're happy. It's good. Because I just had a client today and she was funny. She said something about pleasure, and I realized, like, no, it's only pleasure if you want it. If it's somebody else's idea of pleasure, that's not really pleasure. So when we're in pleasure, we're in our want, we're in what we want, and the body gets relaxed and we're happy, right? And when we're happy, these great chemicals come up, serotonin and dopamine, and the bad chemicals, the cortisol, and what's the other bad one? They leave us, cortisol and the other ones. So pleasure is medicine. Here's my cat. And I was talking again today about how animals always go to their pleasure. They always know what they want. So she's eating the plant. We sometimes don't know what we want. Sometimes we have to think about it. What do I want? So that's one of our exercises. We'll get to that. What do I want? So, and I'm going to tell you why pleasure is medicine. And I'm going to share with you 3 exercises. And like we said, they're G-rated, meaning you could do them at your desk. Somebody could be watching, it would be fine. You can slip it into your work. But before we do that, let's just get in our bodies. All right. So Canopy looks beautiful. It's important. It is important to have a sense, your pleasure. In order to have pleasure, you do need to feel safe. You need to feel like you're in a good place. It's really hard to tune into pleasure if something really bad is happening. Although we can, but so you want to feel safe. So just feel your space, right? Feel that you're in a nice space, that your space is really, honestly, it's safe, right? So this is in your work environment. Look into the corners. Wherever you are, feel the room that's holding you. Feel the space that's holding you. And just kind of notice that you feel safe here. You feel good. You might even mark, and this might not be in work, but we do this. We look for the windows and doors. Where are your exits? Look for the windows, look for your doors, just know where the exits are. This again, getting our body relaxed, feeling safe. We do our best work. And look around the space, and I really highly suggest this, that wherever you are, if you go to Canopy, if you have a desk out somewhere else, wherever your desk is, have something around you that makes you happy. Have something near you that when you look around your space, you can drop your eyes into something that is pleasing. And that's also why I brought flowers. And it's said that if you have a plant in your screen, it relaxes people, makes them feel good. And in your own space, what do you have? And if you don't have something that's pleasing to your eyes, again, I suggest, right, getting something. If you can, if you have my plant, a plant. Also looking out the window and noticing if you can see a plant or the sky. So just start to feel good in your space. And then this wasn't in my list of 3 things, 3 exercises, but it actually is a very important exercise, but it's also a grounding. Notice 3 sensations in your body. Welcome as you come in. Welcome, Amanda. Welcome, Miles. Notice 3 sensations in your body. So I notice my diaphragm. I notice a little crink in my neck. And I notice my hand against my hip. Notice 3 sensations. And then you might look at these 3 sensations. This is the next level, like just being in your body, noticing sensations in your body. Look for at least one sensation that is a neutral to pleasant sensation. And we call it a blue sensation. So we don't make it a positive or a negative, because sometimes we like slightly uncomfortable things even. Something that's pleasing, that's neutral to pleasing. It's blue. So the air on my neck, the tickle of my hair against my neck. And yeah, even then my hair caught in my there. And it might be what looks like a bad sensation, but it was kind of fun. So all just checking in, a lot of times we only notice our like when even if we do a mindfulness practice or something, we might only notice, oh, my neck is tight, I'm hot, or my pants don't feel right, or there's a tightness in my belly. To tune into our bodies and notice things that are pleasing. Notice around our eyes what's pleasing. So welcome. Pleasure is medicine. We're grounded in our bodies. And then let's move little bit. So just let yourself wave side to side. And even if your camera's off, right? Doesn't matter if you feel like you want to turn your camera off at some point to do this, you can turn it off again. If you want to turn it on, you can turn it off again. Just wave side to side and just notice waving at your own pace, right? And then I invite you, if you'd like, to wave at the pace of somebody else. You're going to have us both at the same pace. This might be something to do to start off a meeting. It's we are co-regulating our nervous system. We're feeling safe with each other. It might feel weird, you can notice what this does and pause. So that's a somatic practice to co-regulate. And just trying to think of really one that's good at work if you're in a team. But it is one of my teacher of somatic abolitionism, an anti-racist and liberation practice. So Resmaa Menakem, he teaches these wonderful practices, and he really suggests, when we come together in groups to co-regulate. What a thing if we had to do a big business project and to start off on the same vibration, working together. Sorry, I just want to close my, hey, Nora Lee, honey, when you come in, can you close the door? Sorry about that. I forgot about my daughter coming in. So co-regulating, getting in your body, just something that we want to do in our regular daily life. And again, if we want to have a lot of pleasure, we want to feel safe. If we want to be able to be at our highest working state, we want to feel safe. So getting in your body. And then I'm going to invite you, one last thing in our bodies, to just do something that your body wants to do. Right? So maybe you feel some little something in your neck, or you want to do some head rolls. Maybe, your camera's off, especially if your camera's off, like, you might want to like shake it off today. Did you have like something bad happen? You want to shake, or, you want to take up space. So just take a moment, literally, I want you to pause, right? And what does my body want? What does my body want to do? And just tune into that a moment. Right, tune in. What do I want to do? Attend to my body. Good. And so I'm gonna, from that, tending to your body, I'm gonna really invite you to like get really comfortable. Right, be in your good ergodynamics. Welcome, Adriana. So before we drop into these 3 practices, we've just been grounding our body, grounding ourselves in our space, noticing pleasing things, moving in a way that feels good, noticing pleasant sensations. And so pleasure is medicine. When we are in our pleasure, we're probably really relaxed. We're happy. This is gonna balance our nervous system. If we want to really have extra good pleasure that's real and embodied, we want in our nervous system, we need to have both sides. So there's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. We want to be relaxed in the parasympathetic, but we don't want to be so relaxed that we're asleep or we're like checking out. And we want to be relaxed that we're open. So we want to be present, and we want the sympathetic that we want to be excited, right? But we don't want to be too excited that we're ungrounded and that we're doing things that just somebody else wants. We're not in our own self. That we're too excited that we blow our load, so to speak, and we're done. That we're too excited that we're not present to the others. Again, collaboration. If we're together, we're working together, we want to be co-regulated. So not overly ungrounded, too excited that we're not present to the other. So we want both sides of this nervous system. So that's very, very good for us. That we're using our parasympathetic and we're using our sympathetic, and we're able to go back and forth. Stay grounded. Excuse me a moment. So also when we're having pleasure, we're most likely, we are breathing really well. This is another way, and it's going to be our second exercise, is using our breath to connect to more pleasure that we can do at our desk and as a daily practice. But they're hand in hand. If we really breathe well, we'll have more pleasure. When we're having pleasure, we are probably dropping into a really good breath. When we're breathing well, all of our organs are getting blood, they're getting circulation. It's good for us. When we're in pleasure, again, we're relaxed, and a lot of things like in heart medicine, in digestive medicine, relaxation is very helpful. So if our muscles are relaxed, if our body is relaxed, if we're in that parasympathetic, our blood is flowing easily. Our heart doesn't have to work so hard. So when we're in pleasure, when we're happy, even in these moments, like do it again. Pause a moment and look at something that makes you happy. And see if you can notice your breath. And notice really taking it in with your whole body. And notice some relaxation. Just that, you know. See if you can feel, as opposed to looking at a pile of a to-do list. But, and this is also the simple, that if we use pleasure, so that's, you pause, you look at something lovely, you're gonna offset, you're gonna be in a good place in your nervous system. Then when you go back to your to-do list, you're in a better place. If you get stuck on the to-do list, you can get, right, ungrounded and nervous and what you have to do. Pausing, dropping into pleasure is gonna give you more fuel. So this all makes sense. More reasons we need that pleasure is medicine. Lots of reasons, the heart, the lungs, all the organs. Yeah, there's so many. I just learned this great thing the other day, and then we'll start to move into our first exercise that, you know, all the meridians from all of our organs or all the nadi channels go to just below to what we call in a lot of yoga practices, the navel center, which is like 3 fingers below the actual belly button. Your navel center. And that's that's the pelvis, right? That's the sacral chakra. That's the sex chakra. And all of the organs from the body go here. And so when you breathe fully in and out in this pelvic area, you're going to invite more pleasure. You're going to invite blood circulation. You're going to invite a deeper breath. And you're going to invigorate, all of your organs are connected from there. So that, again, I said, that's our second exercise. So we'll get there. So pleasure is medicine. And we're going to do these 3 things that you can do at your desk. Okay. And so the first one, it's nice if you have like a pillow or something that you can put in your lap. It's just kind of in your lap. Right? But you don't need to. You also can put a sweater, if you have a sweater, a towel, and you also, a notebook even. And you also don't necessarily need anything. And then you need an object. So if you can, just make sure you have an object. So I have a few objects here. And I like on where I work, and I tend to have a couple of objects there in case I want to do this exercise. So have a couple of objects. It's really nice to have something fabulous like a crystal, a rose quartz crystal, something that fits in your hand. I also love, I have this shell, and it's, you know, something absolutely smooth is okay, but ridges is really nice and a little bit different. And then you can use anything. My teacher says you can use a TV remote, you can use a pen. So the idea here now, how to have more pleasure. Your hands are where we touch each other, right? And sometimes we just touch each other. Oh, honey, you know. But what if also your hands are so alive that as you touch, your hands take in more pleasure. They feel more. So this is an exercise to make your hands feel more pleasure as they touch. And actually, I'll tell you a little anecdote about this. We'll get to this anecdote. And your hands are also connected to your heart from where we feel. So it's really nice if your hands are awake. They have more pleasure, more nerve endings than other places on your body. Your feet also do, and your genitals do. Your mouth does. So when we activate these places, we feel more pleasure. But we tend to let our hands be very utilitarian. We do things with our hands. They do. And they can get into that active place, and they forget that they're also sensitive and they feel. and they take in pleasure. So we can do this exercise called waking up the hands, right? And I just heard this wonderful anecdote. So that surgeons now that they move, they work with a little computer thing and they try to get things to do surgery, that they're finding that people today have lost the sensitivity in our hands because we're on our phones and we're doing this kind of thing. And our hands have actually are losing more and more sensitivity. So now when they need people to do things that are sensitive, to move this equipment very sensitively, their hands can't do it very well. So this would be a great exercise for them. But one of the things that they're doing is they're teaching them painting. So they're having these surgeons paint and handle a brush and do brush strokes. So they're making their hands feel more. We're adding the next level of making our hands feel more. We're also inviting, could my hands take in pleasure? All right. So I'm going to show you and then I'll talk you through it, but it's very simple. You're going to take your little pillow, you put your object there, and then you want to lean back. You want it when we're forward, we're engaged. You want to lean back and you pick up your object. And then you just start to touch your object. And at first your mind says, oh, this is a shell. And it has a sharp edge, and you're just going to explore it. It's like, oh, it's this kind of material. It has some ridges. And then you might really ask yourself, what part of my hands do I use? Could I explore some other part? And I'll talk you through this. And then literally, like, could my hands take in more pleasure? What would feel nice with this? And then I'm going to ask you to slow down and notice. And then you're going to put it down and pause. It's going to be 3 minutes, right? And so 3 minutes we'll do this exercise. So funny, I didn't really ask anyone to write anything in the chat but anyone have any questions? Does it make sense? I'm going to talk you through it. Maybe I'll have you do something in the chat after this. All right, so sit back, have your object. And again, really, I've done this remote control, anything. Just pick your object and pick it up and start to touch it. Notice what the mind does about what it is. And then let your hands just explore, and use different parts of your hands. You can feel yourself breathing. Notice. Now, one thing you can really do if your hands get very in the doing mode, so you are going to really receive pleasure. Make your hands take more pleasure. So you might take one hand and hold the object and kind of drag it and move it around the other hand so that the other hand is purely receptive. Sorry. Sometimes when I do this, I literally do have pleasure quivers. I've been doing this for years, so my hands are very sensitive now. And continue. Is there some place in your hand that particularly is enjoying this? And noticing. Now I'm going to ask you to look at your hands and watch the speed. And then do it half of that speed. Right? Slow it down by 2. You can, interesting things to do. I remember one time now, what would my hands like to do with this object? One time asking, and I wanted to, drop it into my other hand. It's a million things you could do, right? So as you're doing it, these last few moments, notice your breath. Notice how your body feels. That relaxation sense. And feel like the presence of mind, fogginess of mind, groundedness of mind. What does the mind feel like? And we'll put the object down. Pause. And I'd love to ask you if you had any noticings. So if you want to put it in the chat, and if you don't want anyone to know that it's you, you can, hit up there and send it to just me, and I won't say it out loud. But if you feel like writing in the chat, or if you feel like just unmuting yourself for a small group, you can unmute yourself and say, did you notice anything with that? It's okay if nobody says anything. But did you notice anything?
I noticed that it felt really good to feel it on the backs of my hands, because I feel like I never really do much with the backs of my hands. And so it kind of naturally was doing that.
Yeah.
And then the more it slowed down, like the more yummy and kind of almost like trancy it became. Just kind of took on a life of its own, and it just felt really good.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Good noticings. Right? I mean, there's a book out there called Slow Sex. How often do we hear, in order to feel more pleasure, we have to slow down. You just don't feel as much when you're going fast. So slowing down. And then, that can take us into fast, but slowing down to really feel. Anybody else? Any noticings? So I asked you to notice your breath, the state of your body. So it does awaken your parasympathetic nervous system. This exercise will relax you. And eventually it will make your hands feel more, right? So notice couldn't you do this at your desk? Nobody knows, especially if it's your pen, and say you're really stuck in a project, and you're making yourself have more pleasure. You're also calming yourself, grounding yourself. This will make you have better sex. I will attest to it. It's amazing. So it's a practice you can commit to 3 minutes a day of just practicing. So let's do this, just that, but we'll play with it. That take a moment now. So we're gonna play, keep in the spirit of waking up our hands, but we're gonna jump to the next level of that. So think about what your hands might want to take pleasure in on you. Right? And notice, you'll see people, if you start to notice people on the bus and the subway, like people will do things with their hands. It's calming and grounding, and they're soothing themselves. They're giving themselves pleasure. So just think for a moment what you might want to do. I always want to touch my hair. And so I'm going to just touch my hair a moment. We're just going to do it for a moment and notice, could your hands feel that pleasure? And you can do something off camera. Now, if your hand's resting, maybe you want your hand on your heart, but then you could let your hand really enjoy that rest. So notice a little soothing on your own body. And so this might be we probably do this unconsciously. Like I do this all the time. I take my hair, but consciously doing something with your hands that you're feeling something good for yourself. And then you might really move into it that your hands feel taking, not just receiving, but also this taking pleasure. So this is our first exercise, this taking pleasure with the hands. And then our second one is really to breathe. To breathe into our pelvic bowl. To breathe. You go all the time, right? Everyone says take deep breaths. It's really good for you. Breathe into your pelvic bowl. Now, your diaphragm is here, and then you have a pelvic diaphragm that goes up and down the same way. Sorry about the sound out there. The same way your diaphragm goes up and down, your pelvic diaphragm down right between the genitals, right behind the genitals, all the way to the anus. There's a diaphragm, there's a muscle that goes up and down when you breathe. So we can just breathe, but also really knowing how to breathe, you can start to use these muscles, and you can. Like on the subway, you can pleasure yourself. Either genitalia can play with these pelvic muscles and literally touch yourself a little bit. The first time I heard about this was a meditation technique too, that if you're falling asleep, to really lift and squeeze and drop up and down, and it will keep you awake for meditation. So we're bringing circulation, we're bringing vitality. And as you inhale, the breath goes down. As you exhale, the breath goes up. So you're going to inhale and let your diaphragm flatten. It pushes down against your abdominals. And just kind of notice how far down that goes. And then as you exhale, the diaphragm goes up. And going up and down with that breath, letting the breath fall all the way down into the pelvic bowl. Right? And so you just notice how far down this goes. Now notice too, if you're like in a workspace, you can close your eyes and really drop into your breath, but you also can have your eyes softly open, just softly stare at something and just take a moment to, pause and be either way with your eyes. So that's most important really first to get this up and down. Sometimes people have what's called reverse breathing and it doesn't go all the way down. And it just takes a little practice. So here, really a nice, easy, soft breath, feeling this up and down in the lower belly. And can you notice, all right? Can you notice as you inhale, there's a drop down, how far down? And as you exhale, there's a lift up, all the way down in your pelvic bowl. So if you feel like giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you could, that you feel this. And then if you wanted, you could also play with that musculature, right? Some people call it, for women, it's called a Kegel. It's like for penis and testicle owners, it's the same thing, right? But I don't really love this term Kegel because it tends to bring up the idea of just squeezing. We want it to go both all the way open and all the way closed. We want that pelvic muscle to open and get relaxed, and exhale, find the tightening. Sorry, people are like dropping. So I hope I'm not scaring you or boring you out there, whatever it is, or that is what you came for. So if we wanted, once you get this up and down, oh no, Amanda says good. We literally now, so this idea of a Kegel, you could accentuate the up, 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 up. Good, not scary. Do the up, up, up. So as you breathe normally up and down, you could just squeeze that little musculature. squeeze, 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 squeeze. Now, I'm gonna say maybe you're even in a business meeting and it sucks and it's not going well, and somebody's saying something that is not helpful. What if you sat there a moment and just squeeze, squeeze, give yourself a little pleasure, and then come out of this happy place. So that's balancing our nervous system. It's like if we go too much into the red, to the difficult, it's hard to be socially aware and able to do the next move and be creative. We need to be over into this blue pleasant space. So also in a moment, we could take ourselves to pleasant. Maybe it's just look at something, have a memory. Maybe it's squeeze our genitalia with no hands. But also, as you're at your desk, if you take a little break, just like some people say, it's really nice, take 10 squats. Like I have these friends, they do 300 squats a day and they do sets of 10 or 15 or 20. That's in the middle of your day. Same thing, little vaginal testicle squeezes 10 times a day, here and there, right? And in between squeezes, you want to really relax and let go. So second exercise is breath in the pelvic floor. With that breath in the pelvic floor, feeling the musculature and playing with it. I haven't been writing because I used to commute and I would do this in subways because I want to do it. So, and there's a whole piece like you have better orgasms. You have better orgasms if it's called your PC muscle, your pubococcygeus, and that whole system is healthy, which means it both is strong and it can release. You're just going to have better orgasms. And also you can use that PC muscle to engage in the orgasmic response. So playing with that muscle, getting to know that muscle, breathing into it, using it the same way you're like bicep. If I want my bicep strong, I'm gonna do that. And then I have to, stretch my bicep or I get like I can't move. So we do both. So that's our second. Our third exercise for G-rated pleasure at the workspace. So that second one was a little un-G-rated, but nobody knows, right? We're talking genitalia. We're touching it without our hands. The third one is called a desire map. I said it somewhere earlier that we want, what do we want? What do you want? Like it's really pleasure when you want it in this moment. So contacting your wants, spending time thinking about naming what you want in this moment. So take a moment and we'll take it from the workplace. Like, what do I want in work? So I'm going to just riff. And you can, so you do these want lists. You can do them with people, or you can do it with yourself. Like you can say, let's share our wants. So I'm going to do my wants for a second here, and I'm going to do it just about work to start. All right. I'm going to time myself. And so what do I want? And in terms of work, I do want some more clients. Lately I'm loving work on one-on-one. So I don't know. I want a couple more clients. I want to work with new people. I want people to be have more pleasure. That's my job. I want people to have more pleasure. So I want my clients to have more pleasure, and I want to have more pleasure. I do want to enjoy my work. I want my work to be easy, smooth. I want to be challenged, but I don't want to hate my work. I want to really be enjoying it. And I want it to be relatively easy. But when I say that, that doesn't mean I don't like a challenge. I want to ride through the challenges easily. But I just don't want to, not that I don't want to work hard. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to struggle. So that's what I mean. I want it to be wonderful. All right. What do I want? I want to work with collaborators that I like. I want to work with people I like. Yeah. So take a moment. If you feel so just notice what do you want? What do you want in your work? Name 3 things for yourself. I want. and pause, all right? And now really like pleasure is in the moment. You know, you could be 3 o'clock in the day. Oh, I really want like a creme brulee tonight at that place. And then you get home and it's like you came home sweating and and whatever, and you don't want a creme brulee anymore. You want a popsicle. So what do you want right now? Right now, as you sit there, right? What time is it? Name the time. Right here, where you are. I want to connect with my daughter after this. I do want to go to the beach. I want to feel the sand between my toes. I want more nature. I want to go for a walk. I want to touch a tree. I want to take a cold shower. I want to eat healthy and delicious, something healthy, delicious tonight. I don't know what it is yet. I don't want to work hard at it. So name for yourself right now, what do you want? And it would be really fun if you spoke to me about it. So you don't have to say it out loud, but open your eyes and look at me and just see if you can really tell me. And you can do that in, sotto voce, you're muted, you can say it softly. You can write it in the chat if you want. You can say it in your mind. And what are a few things you want? What do you want? And I'm going to ask you to keep doing it, keep naming it. You don't have to go fast, but keep in touch. Another 30, another half a minute. And again, this little whispering it to yourself, saying it out loud, saying it to me. Right here and now, what do you want? And as you do it, right? So again, I'm going to ask you to have some noticings. What is it like to contact your wants? Great. Notice your wants. I'm reading your wants. I hear them. So if you want, do it, tell me, because it's nice to have your wants heard. So now let's do that for a moment. So yell your want, you're muted, and yell your want. Okay, have your want. I want to have a good weekend. I want to have fun. Oh, I do. I want whatever. I say one or two. I said it out loud, right? Now notice in that, just naming your wants, okay? You're not asking anybody to do anything for you or to you. You're simply stating your wants. Finito. It's so beautiful to just say what you want. And especially in a couple or in a work situation, oh, I want the copier to be fixed. I want the copier to work better. You are not asking the other person to fix the copy. Or if you're asking the other person to fix the copier because you want it, then it's hey, will you call Sally to get someone to fix the copier? Or will you fix the copier? Or, you're going to ask for that. So note it, we're just saying what we want. That's it. Contact your wants. So ways we can do this, contact what we want, is we could write it down. We could make a list. We could make a I want list. I want. We could do it about something. And we could just do it in the moment. Want. We could call up with a friend. It's so beautiful. Say 3 minutes. Do you want to share your wants? And I'll share mine. And that you just listen. 3 minutes, listen. Ask a friend to do this with you. Now imagine if you did this with a project, right? Even as a work collaboration, you have a project You go ahead. What do you want with this project? What do you want? It's really, what is your goal? But it's a little bit more, what do you want? I want, and you're also getting into like the value often of what you want. With this project, I want the community to feel heard. I want people to connect because of what we do. I want more tax dollars to get poured into this project. I want to work from 9 to 5 and then go home and eat and come back rested. Like I want. And we do in our wants, we don't use a negative, right? I want. So if we do a negative, so I'm just gonna, I want to not be scared. I want to be fucking courageous. I want to be brave, right? What's the want? So that's some wants, and we got 10 minutes. So I'd love to answer questions, right? Simran, is there anything else that happens here besides, but I'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, well, we have a really small group, but I want to say like all of this can be applied to like so many other things in life.
Right? So many other things.
And it's really about like knowing yourself, like being comfortable with yourself, I feel. Am I right in thinking that before like
Yeah. I mean, and I like, living an authentic life, being intimate with the world around you. It's authentic and intimate. Like, what do I want? How do I want to live?
Yeah.
So being in my pleasure with everything. Like as a mother, what do I want?
Yeah.
In my relationship, in my work, my community.
And it's also just really, it's so interesting to me. It's like, this is like a taboo topic or a scary topic for people to talk about, but it's really the crux of how you all live.
Yeah. Is that we're born.
It's how we're born.
However, my acting teacher used to talk about like, oh my God, if we thought about getting laid as often as we thought about our goals, we'd probably reach our goals. But also one and the same. Like we do think about it a lot. And in fact, it's interesting and it's wonderful right now. It's May 26th, right? So there's this wonderful woman, Erica Lust. She's a feminist pornographer. And right now she has a bunch of free sex ed videos they're very educational and they're also like really explicit. And they're really awesome. But I found it interesting. I was like, wow, we need that. We do need to learn like really that. And then there's this other thing about this authenticity and like, what do you want? You can like learn the best strokes, but is that really your stroke? Is that really where you want to be touched? So in sex as well as life, right? What do we really want?
Why is there not more of this for women? Like, why is it more accessible for women? Like, you look at porn and it's just so male dominated.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not how I want to be touched. For some people, sure. but it's like this male viewpoint.
Yeah, it's a big problem. I mean, most of our society is run by that. And most of the directors are male. Maybe they're marketing for men. That's why, Erica Lust, I'm sure she has a thriving business. She's marketing for everyone, trans, women, everyone. And she also takes every fetish and makes it accessible, normal. And what I also love about like wildness, like there's so much that we don't have to do that we also can just imagine or just just open up to what do we want. And we can have it in small pieces, So it exists, but I guess it's really, this is going to change, that everything's driven for the male view, the patriarchal, heteronormative view. And yet, wait, women have lots of money, heteronormative, queer women, and queer, they don't have as much money because we don't have as much money, but they do have money, Like, so go ahead and let's mark it for that. So queer, you know, wonderful queer pornography, wonderful feminist pornography exists, and it's amazing. I don't like the other pornography. No way.
Yeah.
Like, so she focuses on, you know, female pleasure happening.
Yeah. Well,
Any other thoughts, questions? And yeah.
anyone has any questions or thoughts? Lindsay, do you have anything you want to say?
That was such a treat. That was such a different type of treat. And it's been a long time. I've taken one of Marisa's tantric couples workshops before. And I mean, it's such a profound missing piece of our lives. So I adore this. And also just like reminding ourselves to like get back into our bodies, but also like let that feel good. Like get into your body and make it feel really good. And it could be very simple. I adore Marisa. Thank you so much. This was such a treat for a Wednesday evening.
Yeah, and great. And notice what happens. So all of you, yeah, thank you so much for having me and to be able to spread this word. If you need, I'm available. You can email me and ask me questions. I do one-on-ones, I do groups. I have series of workshops, and then you just do sessions. And I do some of these like exercises, like what do you want?
Mhm.
And then, but you also, I want to let everyone know, and maybe you can put it somewhere. There's something called the Wheel of Consent. It's one of my teachers, Betty Martin. So she has a lot of free videos. I also, if you join my mailing list, I send you a free video of this touch. So my mailing list, we'll put that on the YouTube. It's marisasullivan.org, and then Betty Martin, Wheel of Consent. So I send you, but Betty's amazing. Marisa Sullivan Healing.com. That's my website. Wheel of Consent, and she has a page of free videos that she teaches this exercise, and she has a lot of stuff there that's helpful. Yeah, and Erica Lust, we want to write her. It's so if you everyone's like a mailing list. So if you sign up for Erica Lust magazine right now, she sends you a link to these 3 videos. One's a female ejaculation video, squirting video. There's an anal sex video, and there's a masturbation video, and they're beautiful and wise. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is great. And I just sent a message to Lindsay. Like, I'd love to have a panel on female sexuality, and like a group of women talking about exactly this. People talk about it, but it's like I want to spread the word. Like, we have to talk more about it.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be nice to have somebody. Yeah, I love, like, there's this really beautiful stuff coming out now. My daughter's 14, and I let her wear what she wants. It's the way I parent. So she shows her belly. She likes to show her belly. She likes her belly to have air. Like to have somebody to talk about, like, we're allowed to be, that, like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
We want to be juicy in our bodies and feel good in our bodies. And we're doing that for us too. Yeah. Talk about the office and women dressing and how so they're talking about it in high schools, yearbooks, like they changed the girls' outfits.
All that. Yeah. They photoshopped their tops.
Do they do that to men? Do they do that to boys? No.
I also thought it was funny when he asked his daughter to shut the door, she slammed it.
What? Say that again. What?
It's funny when he asked his daughter to shut the door, she slammed it.
She's here now. She just walked in. Yeah. Let's do a panel.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be in touch, and thank you again so much. And Lindsay, I love you. And we'll be doing another one in 2 weeks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.